All right. So, welcome to Don't Be Shady podcast. As you know, October is Domestic Violence Month. So, we're going to be talking about the impact of domestic violence on mental health. I'm your host, Priscilla, and I have a special guest here. His name is Christopher. And I'm interviewing him specifically because he's a male, and I would like a male perspective since he has experienced these things. And I would like to focus on the fact that males go through domestic violence as well as females. So I'm gonna ask him some questions, and then we're gonna go from there. So welcome, Chris. Welcome to Don't Be Shady.
Hello, yes, it's a pleasure. How are you?
I am great. So did you know that October was Domestic Violence Awareness Month?
Honestly, no, I thought it was just the month of Halloween, to be honest with you. That's
Yes, right. That's the commercial holiday for sure. And it is focused around Halloween and autumn and pumpkin and all that stuff. But on a more serious level, domestic violence happens to all of us, any demographic, any social path. That's the word I'm looking for. Social. There's a word I'm looking for. Social. You can jump in any side.
like a
Social.
presence, like just
No, like
uh
socially, like because people.
economy, socially.
It happens to anyone on any social level, I guess. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Oh
discriminate.
yeah, any demographic level, wherever you're at. Of course it does. Of course it does.
Absolutely correct. So in this episode, like I had mentioned, we're going to talk about the impact of domestic violence on mental health. So with that being said, we're going to explore trauma, long-term mental health effects that domestic violence has on an individual. We'll discuss some anxiety, possible PTSD, depression, and coping mechanisms. So, from your experience, how has domestic violence affected you from your point of view, from a male perspective?
Well, from a male's perspective, how has it I mean, look, I've been on both sides of the spectrum. So I've been the one giving the abuse and I've been the one who's been receiving the abuse. So for me, it's changed my life a little bit, I'd have to say.
Hmm.
Probably like a lot
Hmm.
of it, probably.
In what way?
In what way? Probably the better, probably because there's two sides of every coin, right?
Right.
So we could always look at it negatively or we could look at it positively. And so I believe that if nothing has happened in my life, I wouldn't be on the path that I am right now to want to better myself.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, being the one that has experienced the domestic abuse, the one that was being abused, how did that affect how did that affect you mentally?
How did it affect me mentally? I mean, it ruins everything, you know, like the people you surround yourself with is exactly what's going to help shape you. We were talking earlier about how that the top five people are going to program you. Now, if we're aware that we're all being programmed, it's very, 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 very simple. Just don't have shit people around you. You know, like if there are bad people around you, they're influencing you to do something bad. Just cut them out.
But
Say,
we're not
right.
talking about general. We're talking about a specific partner because domestic violence happens with intimate partners.
Yes, yes.
So if you're in this relationship, so let's back up for a second. So the relationship that you experienced the domestic violence with, how long were you in that relationship?
Fuck, bro. Like, I don't know, probably 7 years.
So 7 years you were being abused and then you were abusing as well. So was both of you abusing each other or one way or how was it? Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So So I was a young kid, graduated high school. Um, really just I was very ambitious, and so right out of high school, I was in college, met this girl, and I was just a prick. I was a jackass.
That's good accountability. At least you
Yeah,
know.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I was not a nice guy,
Hmm.
When I graduated at a young age, I already didn't have like a really strong foundation at home, or circle, I should say.
Hmm.
And so the people that I was living with, you know, I was living with my grandma, right? She was like, you know what? You're graduated, do whatever you want. And so from there, I was just go to work, come home, and I would get drunk. Drunk as fuck, dude. I blacked out. And yeah, I mean, from there, it was really just looking for a fight, always, always, whether it was, with my partner or with, fuck, I was always like drink and drive. And so, like, when I was drinking and driving, always, it was terrible, I know. Terrible, terrible, terrible. But, you know, I would get behind the wheel, and wherever I would go, I was always just egging something on. I was so angry at myself, and I had no idea. And I was just projecting that into the world. Maybe I was just hell. I used to tell people, I was like, maybe I was angry at myself, maybe I was just angry at the world, but deep down inside, I was really just looking for a good old ass beating of me, like fucking somebody to beat me up, and just I was searching for that, and I it
And
was more, I mentally beat myself up, and then I was out there physically looking for it, you know?
so then that abuse that you were looking for, would you'd pick a fight with your partner in hopes that they would fight you?
Yeah, I don't think it's so much as that. I think it's uh I think it's you frame your reality. Okay, so if you bring people into your circle, into your life, that knows everything about you, okay, they know everything from the beginning all the way until the end. Well, I mean, not the end, right? I mean, to like where you are, the present. And
Right,
so from there, you really get to know somebody when you are in a relationship, when you meet somebody. You really get to know
right.
somebody on a very, very intimate level. You know, what excites them, what makes them happy, what food they like, the color they like, all of that shit, right? Or I should say stuff, all the stuff. And you know, once you add alcohol to a young mind of anybody, especially a young mind, as a young person who accomplished everything that I accomplished, and I had no structure at home, it was it was more of figure it out yourself, Chris. Just figure it out. And so when I figured it out, I brought people into my life that I thought were for me, and they wanted to see the best for me, just like I wanted to see the best for them. But deep down inside, I didn't even want to see the best for myself. So how could I see the best for anybody else?
Right.
And at this point, I was 16 years old when all this when I first experienced this shit.
So
And
would you say that alcohol was how you cope with your reality or with your situation?
I would have to say yes. Yes, alcohol was it was introduced to me at a very young age. I would get drunk with my mom. Matter of fact, actually, if you look up on your phone, Utah's worst child child abuse case in Utah's history, you'll see my mom's mugshot. There she was. And so,
Really?
yeah, dude, yeah, it's she's like right there, and it's
Maybe I'll add a picture in there for you.
We will. We'll fucking have Spencer pull it up. But yeah, it was very I like listen, dude, I had no idea coming into adulthood and what it means to be a man. I had no idea what it even looked like to be a man. And so for me to then go ahead and be like, yeah, hey, look, I love you. Let me foster you, right? Like
Me foster
foster
you?
you, right? It seemed like it, right? But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it was more like a partnership, right?
Hmm.
But that's what I'm after, like now. But then it wasn't a partnership; it was just a foster. Okay, dude.
It
On
was just
both
a foster.
parts,
Hey, we're being honest.
on both parts, you know.
Hmm.
So
So
at the
how
end
old were
of
you when you got into your, was it after you graduated, or was it like 18? Like how old were you when you got into your first serious relationship?
my first serious relationship, I really didn't take anything serious until like right after I graduated high school. Graduated high school, and then from there it
And
was
how old were you when you graduated high school for people who don't know you?
oh, I was 16. 16, graduated pretty early, freshman.
Okay. So you weren't even an adult. You weren't even 18 because most people graduate high
No,
school 18, 19.
no, I wasn't. I
Okay.
wasn't an adult, but I was. Have you ever like heard of the term emancipated?
You were emancipated?
Yeah, yeah. So like in Utah, what you have to do, you have to be able to show the courts that you can live on your own, have a
And
whole list of
you
money.
and you
That
could prove that?
when I was 16 years old, yes, yes, that's
Oh,
because
wow.
I grew up in the foster care system. You know, I grew up in the foster care system. I just hated my surroundings. I hated the scenario. I hated everything in my life. Hell, I even hated myself. I started to hate myself.
Mhm.
And really from there, after I graduated high school, which let's be real here, you know, I was in a program that was, you know, like troubled youth go to this type of program. You know, kids who are always getting in trouble left and right. And I go to this program because they offer and they say you can graduate high school early. And I say, okay, what do I have to do? And so you actually have to go live on campus with this program in order to graduate high school.
Is it
And
like is it like
they
Job
teach you
Corps?
a trade. It's exactly Job Corps. Yeah, I was just gonna
Oh,
get into it.
okay. Okay.
And they teach you a trade. It's Job Corps. And from there, I was literally there for like 6 months. Went in there, and then got kicked out. When I got kicked out, they gave me my diploma. I'm not even kidding you. They said, "Hey, look, here you go. Just take it," because I was literally sitting in I was sitting in one of my. I'm sure a lot of you may know this, but Valley High School in Utah, and that's another school where you know a lot of troubled youth go. A lot of kids that just want to do school on their own terms, on their own time. And from there, I knew I only had like maybe a half a credit left in English, and that was all once I got kicked out of Job Corps. And from there, it was really just sitting, like going in. I sat down in the principal's office to be able to get enrolled, and he looked at me and he looked at my grandma and he looked back at me and he said, "Grandma, cover your ears." And he looked at me and he said, "Boy, you got to be the dumbest redneck I've ever met." And he flipped around his computer screen. And when he flipped around his computer screen, it was my diploma. Job Corps just sent my diploma when I'm trying to get enrolled into another high school. So once I got kicked out of Job Corps, I didn't even know that they were just going to graduate me. You know, I was still like, oh man, I still got to do school. I still got to get a job. I still got to pay rent. Like, fuck, I have all this thing, like all of these things going on around me when I was 16. And yeah, I mean, at that point, after I graduated high school, it was just immediately into the trades, immediately into construction. And from construction, it was just you like hell, dude. Very, very depressing people in the construction world. You know, everybody wants to fucking drink, go out, have fun, party, do all the fucking go all out. Which, you know, if it's your crowd, great, it's your crowd. But, you know, I'm on to bigger, better things now. And I just looked around, you know, everybody was doing it, everybody was just getting drunk all the fucking time. And the only thing I really had to base what a man even was You know, my uncles, my stepdads that would come in, they would just get drunk, they'd beat my mom, and then they would fucking pass out, you know? And so that's like that's the only idea of a man that I had my whole entire life growing up. And so it was either, go to work, come home, you can get drunk, and then wake up, do it all over again. Whatever happens in the meantime, it's okay because hey, guess what? It's another day that's coming, right? And it's literally something that my uncle told me one time. He said, dude, you go to work, you come home. If anybody has anything ever to say to you at all about how you live your life, fuck them. And I'm like, okay, great. That's great advice. That is solid advice for somebody that's, you know, 48 years old, works a fucking 9 to 5 excavation job, and that's all you ever want to be. That's amazing. It's great
Hmm.
advice. But that's just something I didn't. I mean, for a long time, I took that advice. Hell, I did HVAC after I graduated high school for almost 7 fucking years. 7 years of my life where I was just waking up, going to work, coming home, getting drunk, passing out. Back
Ooh.
then, dude, dead ass. It was a sad, sad life. And that was right after I was 16. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 years old. About 20, it wasn't even 7 years. It was about 5 years I did that. 5 years. So it's absolutely insane.
Imagine if you would have kept going, if you would have kept living that life. So now that you've given us a little backstory of where you come from and who you are,
Yeah.
how and that thank you for, elaborating a little bit, explaining who you are, because that kind of puts into perspective, since that's what you've seen your entire life. To you, that was normal. You probably did you think everybody lived life that way?
100%.
Right.
100%.
So, like I said, that for you that was normal. So you thought everybody lived that way. So then when you get into a relationship and you have children and have a family and do all these things, how did that perspective play into your relationship? How you communicated, how you express your feelings? Like how did that play into all of that?
Oh God, it was ridiculous. Um, uh, once you realize you have those types of traits, like controlling traits, narcissistic tributes, all that shit, it's very easy to like spot them and be like, holy shit, I'm not gonna do that. But when I first started this journey of like, hey, maybe I'm gonna have a girlfriend, it was I like I said before, not a good guy, controlling, say what I want to say to get what I want.
So you're
Um,
manipulative.
yeah,
So
yeah,
controlling, manipulative, narcissistic.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the whole 9 yards, that was me. And um,
So narcissists can change.
yeah, 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 it was terrible behavior. And so yeah, yeah, I mean, but it's why I also said in the beginning of this, the top five really contribute to who you become as a person.
Right.
And so if you surround yourself with shitty people, you're going to become a shitty person. And so when I first got into this, like I was saying, a little bit of a backstory, and this was before I broke the fuck down. I cried to God. I yelled at him and everything, evictions, fucking repossessions, everything, you know, gone, yanked from me. The carpet was yanked. I fell flat on my fucking face. But before all of that to put into it, um, yeah, exactly what I seen growing up is exactly what I became. And so when I was with one of my exes, you know, toxic behavior, like if you add those together, it doesn't create rainbows and sunshines. It just
Cupcake.
creates a very explosive environment. And in that explosive environment, A lot of things can be said, a lot of things can be done. And it just was not, it was not what's the word, conducive,
Hmm.
to the type of life that I want to live. That's why I stepped back. I was like, listen, man, I need a SOS. I need to seek out success. I need to find somebody who's been married for X amount of time. I need to find somebody who's found God. I need to find somebody who has the basic characteristics of what it looks like to be a fucking man, you know? And
Hmm.
that's something that I had to do, drop the fucking ego, put it all aside because, hey, guess what, fellas? You know what? Look, I've done a lot of dirt. People have probably done a lot of dirt in a lot of their lives, but, the difference is that I'm taking the time right now to make sure I don't ever become that type of person again, to change this. So that way, my thoughts become my words and my words become my action. And my result is that I have an amazing fucking life. Now I can't do that if I'm still a piece of shit. Great things happen to great people. Great things don't happen to bad people. And so in order for great things to happen to me, I know I need to become a great person. And the type of lifestyle that I'm living now, I know I'm on that path. I know that things around me are lining up for the better.
Nice. So during this journey of yours, because I've been on, a similar, it sounds like you're on a healing journey, which I'm
Definitely.
super,
Child traumas and shit, bro. Cry all day long.
I'm so proud to hear that you're working on yourself. Um, because healing is not pretty. Healing is not something that is, like you said, cupcakes and rainbows and a ball of sunshine. There is so many dark moments, so many dark aspects of healing, but you get, if you don't, a lot of times people don't see that part of the healing process, but you see it. You're vulnerable with yourself and you have to feel things that you don't want to feel. And I think that is the beautiful but most painful part of healing is having to see yourself through those painful moments. And sometimes people do it alone
Yeah.
because nobody really understands what you're going through but you.
Well, not only that, but this shit's embarrassing. Okay. Killing is embarrassing. Okay. I seen a video the other day. It said, you know what? You'll never be successful because you're scared to be embarrassed. Okay. Look, and even at the end of the day, it's like, if you want to be successful in whatever the hell you're doing, you have to become embarrassed, whether that's doing exactly this, killing some sort of trauma that's there that needed to be done, but you just didn't know how to do it. But this is your opportunity to do it. Are you going to do it or are you going to run the other fucking way? Are you going to be uncomfortable for an hour, 2 hours, an hour and a half, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes? Or are you going to run away? You know, and that's where it is for me. We were talking the other day, earlier today about the blessings, praying to God, He gives you the answer, you don't take the steps, and then you expect to pray again and on a different aspect and to get an answer. God loves you. God loves everything about all of us, but He doesn't love assholes. And if all we're doing is just asking things, especially to God, and we don't take steps, what did you say? What was the story that you had earlier?
Oh, and I said the guy that was I think he was in a flood. I don't remember exactly, but he was in a flood and God sent him a plane, he sent him a boat, he sent him a rowboat, he sent him a helicopter, and he was like, no, God will save me. And then when he died, he was like, God, why didn't you save me? He's like, are you serious? I sent you all these people. You didn't take it. And I think sometimes because it's not what we want to hear and see, we ignore something so easy and so simple, but we ignore it because it's not the answer we want. even though it's help, it's just not the help that we're specifically wanting. It's still help. So it's almost like we're in our own way. We need to get out of our own way and reach out for help, even if it doesn't look as pretty as we would like it to look. We still need to have our hand out and accept what is being offered if we're asking for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know during going through domestic violence, I felt a lot of depression, a lot of hopelessness, a lot of sadness. Did you experience any of that?
Um, yeah, yeah, that was probably like before I like, started having like self-respect and shit,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what I want in life.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I don't know, who else knows? And if I leave my life up to chance, I'm only going to get chance results. They're not going to be intentional. So I can only be mad at myself. But depression, you know, it's real to a point. It's almost like believing you're addicted. You know, you can get yourself out of it as long as you've got a strong mental fortitude. If you're strong
Mm-hmm.
here, the depression, the sadness, all that shit, it'll go away. But
But you have to feel it first, right? You have to allow the wave to. You have to allow yourself to feel that wave.
you gotta be alone, bro. Like you gotta fucking hit rock bottom and feel like ain't nobody fucking there with you. Like
Mm-hmm.
the way I can describe it is that, you know, imagine you just had a baby, okay? And now imagine,
I've had babies. Go
okay,
ahead.
okay, okay, for you, but this is mostly for the viewers, okay?
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
I want you to imagine you just had a baby and you're a dude and you post about it and nobody comments.
Oh, like no one says like congratulations.
Nobody likes it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody says anything. Nobody even calls you to say, hey, 10 toes, 10 fingers.
Mm-hmm.
That moment where you feel so fucking pathetic and that you have nobody, you really just realize you're alone in that moment. You would feel like you would be alone in that moment, right? That's where I feel like you got to be. Like rock fucking bottom where ain't nobody there. Like maybe it's your kid's birthday and nobody shows up. But yeah, you swear you invited everybody, but nobody shows up. Now, check that out. I know how that feels. Why? Because I was that guy. I I was. And
You were the guy that invited or the guy that didn't show up?
the guy who invited for the child's birthday. Okay. That's like a rock bottom feeling. That
Yeah.
that's like knowing that you have aunties, uncles, nieces, nephews, brothers, sisters, ain't nobody come through for you. You know?
Mm-hmm.
That's like rock bottom to me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, I was going through evictions and repossessions, but none of that shit really mattered. I still had my fucking people I felt like I cared, people who I felt like cared about me. And
Right.
then it's like in those moments of desperateness, you experience something that's called I call it an ego death. Okay, I don't know if anybody else has ever experienced it, but it's like where the confident side of you is just not really confident anymore. You just
Mm.
don't really know your purpose anymore. You don't really know what the fuck you're even here doing. You're contemplating suicide yourself. And it's like at that point, it's just so much, so much shit goes on. And then you really got to pull yourself out of that, like fucking pull it out, you know? Uh, talk about being strong mentally. I mean, in order to be able to, how you asked, bring it back to the conversation, to the question you asked, how does the domestic violence affect you that much? there it is. It's laid out. I mean, dude, to a point where you could feel like you're on top of the world. Next thing you know, you're contemplating suicide. Next thing you know, you feel like you have friends, but then you really look around and then you don't. You know, absolutely devastate you. It'll crush you.
Were you ever in at a point in your relationship where you're like, I'm gonna leave, and then you'd be pumped up and excited and ready, and I'm going, but somehow, would you say you had a noose around your neck, it just snapped you back, and you ended up staying, and the cycle just repeated itself?
Yeah, yeah. So, almost every day, like shit, like yeah, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna leave, 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 but then you just don't leave.
Do you think that staying in a abusive, controlling, manipulative relationship for a child is good for the child?
Fuck no. Get out of there. What are you doing? You're so fucked up. Like, dude, that baby is such a sponge right now. And if you're putting it in chaotic environments, and then you want to yell at me when the kid's 5 years old because the kid don't listen. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like look about like from every aspect. You can't control what your kid does, but you can definitely influence the fuck out of it. You know, if you just have it's
It's so
we live in such a,
psychological.
a shitty time where we turn on the TV and we get on our phones and we go out and we see disrespect everywhere we go. We see kids disrespecting old people. Now, if you don't have money or influence, you just don't have any respect, and that's sad.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. Because I know like whenever I was in my domestic violence relationships, I used to think, my kids deserve a two-parent home. They need to be with their father. Like, how could I take away their dad? But in reality, that was the worst thing I could ever do because I'm teaching them to stay and put up with bullshit. Don't have any boundaries. Don't love yourself. Don't have any self-worth. Just put up with it and deal with it and pray that it gets better. That's the message that I was sending to my children, not realizing that that's what I was doing because children do what? Do as you do, not what you say.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I got a question for you. Bringing it back to the kids. There's another aspect to that. Speaking of the kids, what what made you finally walk away?
Um, I
What
had
what
enough.
was the breaking point? What was the story?
I had enough. Um, you you can only beg someone for so long to change. You can only beg someone for so long to be like, please, like, and then when you live in the same house but have a separate bedroom, like, how is that functional?
Yeah,
How in
yeah,
the world how is that functional? You know what I mean?
yeah,
But and then there were some other things that took place that really broke the whole situation open. And it was either him or my child. I chose my daughter and I left. Um, I had to because again, I'm teaching her to choose herself. And I don't know if she'll remember any of what happened. I hope that she doesn't because she was only 5 at the time, 5, 6 at the time. So I'm hoping that she doesn't. But if she does, at least she'll know that I left for her to protect her and to make sure that she had a good understanding of what a man is supposed to be like because a man is supposed to provide and protect and that wasn't happening. Not It wasn't doing anything to her specifically, but it was happening between me and her father. And I believe that the reason why I have this pattern of getting involved with men that way is because I've seen my parents do it. I've seen them fighting. I see my dad drinking. I see them bickering. I've seen them get physical. I've seen them leave. I've seen doors slam. I've seen crazy things happen. And so, like you said, it becomes your normal. So then when you go outside your relationships and you seek a husband or a boyfriend, unknowingly or subconsciously, you're looking for your father in those men. So I don't want my daughter to find anyone like that at all. I want her to find the complete opposite. But in order for that to happen, I have to show up differently. She has to see me in a healthy relationship. She has to see me happy. She has to see me in someone love me properly. So that when she gets in a relationship on her own, she's like, this is what love feels like. This is what it looks like to be loved properly. So I just hope to and pray to God that none of my children ever have to experience domestic abuse. It's like the most demeaning, disrespectful, heart wrenching feeling that you could ever go through because the person that you love and trust is hurting you. And you're almost like shocked. Like they say that they love me. Is this what love is about? Is this how it's supposed to feel? So I'm hoping to change those generational patterns and move on to healthy examples of what love looks like. So that is what that's why I finally left. Because it just wasn't healthy, you know. It's almost like now dating is a complete shit show. I have conversations with children that are in adult bodies that are so broken and so unhealed. And it's almost like they're looking for their mom. That's that little boy looking for a mom. You can tell in the way they have conversations with you.
Well, I mean, you just said it, right? I mean, the girls are out there looking for the daddies, and the little boys are out there looking for the mommies, right?
Yeah.
So you said it. I mean, you answered the $1 million question.
Mm,
You must
it
have $1 million plan.
take over the world. Is it Pinky in the Brain? Isn't that what he asked Pinky, what are we doing today? Or Brain, what are we doing today? Is that what he, I don't know. It's not my generational.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna be
never,
honest. Not even my
I,
thing either.
I never watched that show, but I remember some cartoon. He's like, what are we
Yeah.
doing today? Taking over the world. Like, my goal is to help as many women and men not be afraid to seek help. That therapy is okay. That either trauma therapy, if you want to get on medication, sure, that's not my thing. But if that's your thing, do whatever it is that you need to do that's necessary for your mental health.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think uh spending the money, finding the right resources, um really just being connected with the right type of specialist. There are people out there that can help you get through anything that you really got to get through mentally. And fuck, dude, maybe you're strong, maybe you're saying, "Huh, fuck that, it's not for me." Okay, good. It's not
I
everybody's cup
personally,
of
yeah, no,
tea.
I,
It's not everybody's cup of tea, but hey, guess
yeah,
what? When their marriage is failing and they're crying 20 years from now, 30 years from now that they can't find anybody great, that they'll find their time frame, just like everybody has to find their time frame of, hey, guess what? This isn't really working out for me anymore. I need to figure out why all of these relationships around me aren't really working out. Now, they're not going to work out because of one thing. What's the common denominator? It's you.
me. Hmm.
It's you, it's me, anybody who's having this conversation with themselves. Common denominator is you. And until that common denominator is either, increased or, fucking added a whole bunch of commas, man. Look, at the end of the day, it's, it's not going to be better. And so that's kind of like I was wondering for you, because I kind of was you're asking me all these questions, and it makes me think of back when, what was the final draw for me? Why did I walk away, and why did I say I need help? Why did I stop here to think about there to be able to get to the other side, right? Because there's this river, right? It's like there's this river, and there's people over there. There's successful people over there, but the bridge doesn't look like it's real walkable. Okay, it's falling apart. There's shit fucking creaking. You take a step, a board falls through. Oh my God. You know,
I know why. Because
there's
you haven't really made a decision to actually leave. You're making up excuses why you can't.
exactly. And that's
Hmm.
exactly where I'm getting into this is that, the other people on the side of that bridge, those are like the therapists. Those are the guys that are like, hey, it's okay, come on, it's all right. Whether fuck dude, you look at them like fucking millionaires or billionaires, therapists, maybe you respect them like your mommy and daddy, who the fuck knows? They're over there and they're waving that white flag and they're saying it's okay. It's okay. That bridge just looks like it's falling apart, but hey, no one looks that way because you're fucked up here. In all reality,
Hmm.
that's the most stable bridge you'll probably ever be on. Is
Hmm.
the path to progression. In the beginning it looks scary. It doesn't look like it's all gonna fucking work out. Maybe the stairs are creaking, crumbling. Who knows? But just got to take the couple steps and just stay in that fire long enough to realize that, hey, look, you know what? People do stupid shit. Life is life, bro. Like fucking people
Life
want to
is
blame
life for
somebody
sure.
for something so dumb that was done when you were a child or not. At the end of the day, are you taking the steps to become a better person? Are you being a better human now? Are you going to do it again? Did you learn from the experience? You learned? Great. Now we can talk. If you didn't learn at that day, that's where it's like, okay, we gotta stop and we gotta reassess. And so, you know, how long do we have? Wait, a couple more minutes.
10.
Perfect. I have a bit of a story I want to tell you.
Okay.
The day that I realized that I gotta work on myself and I need to walk the fuck away.
I love it.
You know, I dated my ex for like 7 years. Right out of high school, I was right into college. I met her through her dad because her dad did an HVAC, uh, like he did HVAC, and he got me into it. And I really thought that it was it. But really, what dialed that in is, I started this company a couple years ago. Started this company, and from that company, um, I quit. I quit really caring, going to work. I quit worrying about a part-time job, worrying about money. I just quit worrying because it's like, hey, guess what? I'm trying to build this business. This business, I'm out there, I'm pushing a product, and this product just isn't fucking selling. And I did that for almost three. I still haven't given up. It's why I live the life I live now. But I did that shit. And in the result of that, the relationship I had was crumbling already. We slapped a baby on it and we said, that's the band aid. Let's fix it that way. But it was not the cure all. Okay. I started this company. I had this child and I wanted to leave. I wanted to fucking just go. I wanted to take my baby and I just wanted to leave. I was waking up every single day. I hated everything about my life, from the interactions that I was having with my significant other, because it was nothing but just argumentative all the fucking time. It's all we would ever do, back and forth. And then I looked at my grandma because my grandma was living with me at the time. My grandma and my little brother, because my grandma got way sick. It's a long story. We don't need to get into it. But my grandma's living with me at my friend's house. I'm in my friend's fucking basement. I'm having a baby and I'm running a business and I have no part-time job. I get enough money put together. I get a U-Haul. I throw everything and everyone in this fucking truck. And by everyone and everything, I mean my brother, my grandma, and my baby. I was going to leave my ex at this house. And, one thing led to a next. One of my friends called me at the time. He's like, bro, I don't want to see you on the news. I hope you really think about this, blah, blah, blah. And I break down. I look,
Like breakdown in tears, breakdown.
I break down in tears,
Mm-hmm.
just break down mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Any
Mm-hmm.
type of way you could break down, I was breaking. My bones were crushing. I was crumbling. Felt like my fucking soul was leaving my body and I was just going down to the fucking ground, bro. All I wanted to do was just go into a fucking room and just scream and cry and just close the goddamn door. And I wanted nobody to talk to me. I wanted nobody to look at me. And I tell I tell my grandma, I say, Grandma, we're going to Arizona. I said, we're getting the fuck out of here. And I'm taking my baby. If you want to come with me, I want you to come. She says, Chris, I don't want to go to Arizona. And I said, it's okay. We're going to get it figured out. You know, you don't want to go to Arizona. I'm not staying here. How are you going to pay your bills? Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I don't know. I'll figure it out, but I'm not going to Arizona. A couple days go by. I talk her into it. She said, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, okay, great. And the day that I'm getting ready to leave, I get everybody loaded up. And I just get this thought that maybe I should stop and I should just have a conversation with this girl that I'm getting ready to leave, that I'm leaving. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not doing this anymore. And I sit there and I have that conversation. Take her around the block. At this point, she had no idea that the truck was even at the house because I had all the homies there just loading everything up. And I take her on this dinner. I tell her everything, and I don't tell her I'm leaving her until I drop her off. She loses her shit. She starts throwing shit around. She breaks my windshield on my car. And she starts unpacking everything out of the U-Haul, throwing it out of the truck, smashing on the fucking ground.
Whoa.
And I'm like, can we stop, please? Blah, blah, blah. XYZ. But I'm not calm. I'm yelling. Fucking, I'm getting crazy. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, bitch? Stop. And finally, she fucking stops, and I tell her, I'm like, fuck it. Let's just go to, I'm going to Washington. You want to come? I just stop it. Going to Washington. You want to come?
Also, you gave in.
I did. I
Mm-hmm.
did. And from there, she says, yeah, blah, blah, blah. You mean it? Yeah. Fuck, no, but yes, shit, sure. I don't know what I'm doing, but yeah. Uh, got in the fucking car. About 24 hours later, we left my buddy's basement, and I have everybody in this U-Haul. I have some people in some cars following us, and we get to Washington, and I have nowhere to put anybody. I have no fucking plan. I have nothing because keep in mind, I thought I was going to Arizona. I literally put money down on an apartment and in fucking Arizona to be gone, to not be here. And I go the complete opposite fucking direction. And so I put everybody in a hotel, a little cracked out spot. It's the cheapest place, but we could afford it. And one thing led to another. I ended up having to break down. I got a job for a couple months doing HVAC, and I was just building my business part time. And one afternoon, I come home from work, go home, the hotel,
Mm-hmm.
and my partner at the time, my ex, was just so angry, so mad. And I know why she's mad, because we're broke. Look around. What is this life, Chris? Bro, you went from making $120,000 a year, living a very mediocre, poor life, to now you're just like poor as shit. You have nothing. You're living in a fucking hotel and you have your fucking grandma who's on oxygen sitting on a hotel bed looking at you for answers. What are you going to do, Chris? And she's angry. You know, she says some things, one thing leads to another. She attacks me. She's strangling me. I push her back. She attacks me. She's around me. She's on my back and she's just strangling the fuck out of me. And I'm like losing my mind. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. And I run and I push her into the wall. And my little brother gets on this girl and he starts choking her. And he's like, and I'm like sitting there and I'm like, oh, I'm in awe. I'm like, what is going on here? What is happening? What the fuck, dude? And I yell at my brother. I'm like, get the fuck off of her. What the fuck are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, she was hurting you. And she gets up, I get up, I go over to the fucking door, and my daughter is sitting right there at the end of this bed. We're in a 1-bedroom hotel. There's 2 fucking beds and a bathroom and one little kitchenette. And she's in the fucking kitchen. She grabs this fucking garbage can. She dumps it out. She dumps out the whole fucking garbage can and she fucking throws it at me. It smacks me. It hit me pretty fucking hard. And it goes towards my child. I grab it before it hits my daughter. I ain't gonna lie to you. I threw it back.
Yeah.
I said, fuck you. And the minute that I threw it back, it hit her. And she started screaming at the top of her lungs, bro. I'll never forget it. I'll never fucking forget it. Never forget the sound. Help! Help!
Oh, victim.
Help! Bro, screaming from the top of her lungs. Help! 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 Out this window. And I look at this girl. I say, are you fucking serious? I look back at my brother. I look at my grandma. I look at my daughter. And I just left. I walked out that fucking hotel door. I walked down the fucking stairs. I start running. Start running. I run to the bus stop. I see the bus is coming. I'm like, perfect timing. I just get on the bus. And I'm going as far as I fucking can. Just going. I'm going and I'm going and I'm going. Till the bus can't go no more. We get to the end of the line. A little track station. I get out. And I just keep running. In the opposite fucking direction. I just keep running. And I'm sitting there and I'm praying to God and I'm yelling at him and I'm cussing him out, bro. Telling God, why the fuck is this happening to me? I'm trying to change my fucking life, bro. I don't want this anymore. I don't need this anymore. And my phone starts ringing. Ring, 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 ring. And I answer. Before I answer it, I look at it and it says it's a private number.
Oh, you know what that means.
Yeah, if anybody's listening, you know what that means. That means there's a cop on the other end of the line.
Yep.
Detective, so to speak, or responding officer, whatever the fuck you want to call him. And he's asking me, Chris, what the fuck is going on, man? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, I see you have a very extensive record in Utah. Like, what is this? You come to my town, cause problems? What is this? I tell him my story, I tell him my thing, and he's like, you know what, there's a lot of this going on. Let me call you back. Let me figure this out and let me call you back. He never calls me back.
Mm-hmm.
And when he tells me I'll call you back, I just get off the phone and have you ever just felt so helpless? You
Yeah.
just fall to the fucking ground?
Yeah.
Like, for real, like, everything in your fucking body, it's just jelly. You're just
Mhm.
done. I remember it because I fell and I sat down at this little car shack or whatever the hell it was. It was like a little pull in, get your fucking oil changed, and I'm on the side of it. Just breaking the fuck down. Middle of the daytime too. Place was packed. Couple hours go by. My phone rings again. It's my grandma. My grandma tells me, Chris, everybody's gone. You need to come home. And I say, okay, I'm on my way.
Mhm.
And when I get home, all of my daughter's things are gone. Uh, Everything that belonged to my ex is all packed up in a little box. I say a little box, it was half the fucking room. Um, and then I get a call after I get home. It was my ex.
Mhm.
My ex then proceeds to tell me that we need to be done. And I say, I completely agree. You're going to Utah, taking our daughter. I'm going to stay here.
Mhm.
XYZ, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And that was the moment that I realized, Chris, you're not suitable for anybody right now. You need to work on yourself because you're still trying to get through your, like, you're trying to get to this other level that you've never seen. You don't know what it looks like. Nobody around you's ever touched this level, but yet here you are. And so that's where I'm at with things. That's when I realized that I'm done with that shit. I'm not going to put up with any type of domestic violence, even from myself, when I give it or dish it or because domestic violence can come in all sorts of forms and sizes, whether you're being just a bitch with your language, you're putting people down, or physically. I won't put up with it. I won't stand for it. Not myself, and I definitely don't want to receive it. So if I don't want to receive it, why would I give it? You know?
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, in the previous episode, I talked about the different forms of domestic violence and manipulation, coercion. Um, it's one of the biggest ones. And when, like you had just mentioned, like when you're in it, you don't really understand that that's exactly what it is. But like you said, we all have our breaking points, and that is that was your turning point. That's when you decided, you know what, Chris has got to change because, like you just said, if you don't change, then nothing else around you is going to change. So I'm glad to see that, you're on the other side of that now and you have boundaries. You starting to love yourself. Isn't that like the most strangest, easiest, hardest journey to be on is self-love?
It's scary. It's it's like I was saying before, it's like that bridge to get to the other side. In the beginning it looks scary, but like when you're halfway there, something clicks and you look around and then you realize that bridge you're on is like the Golden State Bridge. That shit is solid as a rock, dude. And it's scary in the beginning, but it's well worth it.
Absolutely. Like, thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing your story. I know it's not always easy to do,
No,
but
this
it's
was great. I love this trauma dump. Let's get
but it's your story, and that's what is molding you into the man that you are going to be, that you are wanting to be because of all of the things that you've experienced.
yes, yes. I believe that this is something that needed to be talked about for a really long time, and I just
Hmm.
I just avoided it. So I'm so excited. I'm so thankful that you give me a platform to be able to do this. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. I know that it is a very touchy, vulnerable subject to talk about, and nobody wants to ever talk about it. They put it in a closet door and shut it, act like it doesn't happen, but it happens to everyone every single day. Um, Thank you for joining. Don't be shady, as we talked about with some heavy stuff here. Like I always say in the beginning of all my podcasts, there's going to be some tears, whether it's from me or from my guests. And sometimes it may be all of us together at one time. And this is going to be where we're going to find the healing of the rawness of the healing journey that we're in. And we're not going to shy away from that because we want to see everyone heal parts of themselves that I don't talk about. Thanks so much for joining me, Chris, today. And thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you share, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. And thank you guys so much for joining. Have a good night. Bye.